Hello viewers, let's take a quick look at this question. In this question we are asked which equation represent the anode reaction during electrolysis of aqueous copper 2 tetraoxosulfates using innate electrodes. Do you get that? There are two things that are being given. One, aqueous, understand this thing, aqueous. And another thing is what? Innate electrodes. Electrolysis can occur either in a molten state or in a aqueous state. If it is in a molten state, it is only two ions that are involved. One will migrate towards this side, towards the cathode, and one will migrate towards the anode. But if it's involved aqueous, there are two ions. Two will migrate towards the cathode, two will migrate towards the anode, and one must be preferentially selected. We have something like this, negative. So these are the two electrodes. We have the anode electrode and we have the what? Cathode electrode. Do you understand? Now in this one now, when we dissolve in electrolysis of aqueous means that you add water to it. When you dissolve this salt into water, it becomes what? In aqueous form. What happened? They are telling us to look at the equation in the anode. We are going to look at the anode. Of course, I'm going to give you the one of what? The cathode. Now when you dissolve this copper sulfate, CuSO4 in water, what will you have? Do you get that? Now what happened is that when you dissolve these two things, look at what you have here. Copper sulfate will dissociate to give you what? Copper ion plus what? SO4 ion. Now water here will also dissociate to give you what? This is water to give you what? Hydrogen ion plus what? Hydroxyl ion. This is what will happen. Now when you dissolve this thing in water, look at what will happen here. Now these two things, the one that are positive will always migrate towards the cathode that is negative, while the one that are negative will migrate towards the what? The anode, which is what? The positive side. Now just remember this thing. When you hear of cryo simply means cathode reduction. Reduction take place in the cathode, while anode oxidation take place in the what? In the anode. Look at it here. Now I have said that all this one, the one that are positive will migrate towards what? The negative what? Negative side. Why? Look at the two here. Will migrate towards this side. Why this one now? The anion now will migrate towards what? Towards the what? Anode. And since there are two, one must be preferentially selected. One must be preferentially what? Selected. If it is in the molten form, it is only two ions that are produced. But since it is in aqueous form, there are two major ions produced in both sides. Two are the anode and two are the what? Are the cathode. Two will migrate towards the anode and two will migrate towards the what? Towards the cathode. Now, one must be selected. How do you determine the one that will be selected? There are three major things for one to be preferentially selected. Number one is the position. One. These are the three factors that must be considered for any of this one to be preferentially selected. Now we are going to look at, we say the what? At the anode. What happened at the anode? Look at these are ions. This negative ion will migrate towards the what? To the anode. So now between sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion, which one will be preferentially selected? Now let me give you the position of the ion in the reactivity series. Now watch out. Now let me give you the position of the ion in the reactivity series. The first one we have K, we have sodium, we have minus, we have chlorine, minus, we have bromine, minus, and we have what? Iodine, minus. These are the ones that are mostly used during electrolysis. The ions will migrate towards the positive anode, while the positive ion will migrate towards the negative cathode. Is that understood? Now in this one now we are considering what? Copper. We are considering copper ion and what? Hydrogen ion. Then we now consider what? SO2 minus and what? OH minus. So these are the only things we are going to consider. Now in the position of the cell, what happened? if you look at copper and iron, the one that are lower in series will be preferred to be discharged than, or will be preferred to be selected than the one that is higher in series. If you look at copper and hydrogen, hydrogen is higher, therefore copper that is lower will be preferred to be discharged, so copper will be selected. Do you understand? Now check sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion. Sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion, look at, sulfate is higher than what? The position is like this. As you go down, the reactivity series decreases. You get that? Now in the sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion, which one will be selected? Of course, this one is lower in series, so this one will be what? This one will be selected. So we are now dealing with what? This one and what? Copper. Hydrogen will be left and what? Sulfate will be what? Will be left. Now let's balance our equation. Remember, they say using what? Innate electrode. It is not copper electrode. I will explain that in our next video. Now, what happened at the anode? Look at the ion that will migrate here. What will happen is that OH minus will give you what? Will give you water, H2O, and what? And oxygen gas is what? Is liberated. Are you following? So we are going to balance the ion. So what we are going to do is that we need to plus the ion, which we are going to balance. Now, what we need to do is that we need to add 4 here. We need to put what? Put 2 here. It's what? 2. Oxygen here is 2. And here, how many electrons are formed? 4 electrons. We need 4 electrons to cancel this one. Look at 1 times minus 1 times 4 will give what? Minus 4. Minus 1 times 4, of course, here is what? Minus 4. So the electrons are what? Are balanced. So this is the equation that is formed at the what? At the anode. So are supposed to be. All right. Now let's look at the cathode. What happened at the cathode? I told you that the copper will be what? Will be migrated. So we have copper 2 ion. Look at copper 2 ion. Look at copper 2 ion. Copper 2 ion will undergo what? Reduction to give what? Copper metal. So here we have our what? Plus 2 electron. Now what happened to copper? Copper here, copper 2 ion will give you what? Copper metal. You put what? Your 2 electron. So this is what happened at the what? At the cathode, and this is what happened at the what? At the anode. Here. So for more of this video, do well to like this video, share and comment.